Chapter 4, Gifts. As the hunting party rode out of the mountains to join the rest of the band in Salmon River country, the skies turned gray with heavy clouds. So the first autumn rains began to fall. After the long dry season of fires, the rain was a blessing. Kaya pulled her deerskin robe over her head, but she lifted her face to the rain. It would soon turn to snow, but now it bathed her cheeks and forehead with a soft, light touch. The rain dripped from the branches she rode under, raising sweet scents of pine and fir. Drops of it beaded in Steps-High's mane and on her foal's eyelashes. Kaya stroked her horse's warm, wet neck and smiled to see the foal, which she named Sparks, splashing through the shallow stream. Even in the rain, the woods around Kaya were filled with color. She saw aspen trunks washed to pure white and the large needles shining yellow. Ferns had dried to a dark orange, rose bushes were red-leaved, and gilded mosses hung from the fir boughs. A snake slithered across the trail with a green gleam. Blackbirds flocked together for their flight south. Red-sided trout leaped from the stream after insects, and on the opposite shore, Kaya saw a brown bear gorging itself on fish. Now deer and elk were coming down to lower country to forage. As she rode across the clearing, Kaya saw a bull elk running through the scrub brush. He lifted his legs high and tilted back his head so that his huge antlers could slip through the branches as he raced like a scout bringing a message. Kaya's heart swelled. She felt how strongly she loved her beautiful homeland and all the creatures that shared it with Nimíipuu. When the hunting party reached the wintering place, Talo burst from the village dog pack and came running to meet Kaya. Bounding alongside Steps-High, he barked repeatedly as if to say, "You're back, you're back!" And when Kaya dismounted, he licked her cheek over and over again with his warm, rough tongue. Kaya's heart swelled. She felt how strongly she loved her beautiful homeland and all the creatures that shared it with Nimíipuu. Kaya turned out Steps-High and Sparks flying with the other horses. Then, with Talo at her side, she ran to find Speaking Rain. She had so much to tell her sister. Kaya found Speaking Rain in the snug winter lodge, twining cord from shredded hemp. Kaya went to her knees in front of her and placed her hands on Speaking Rain's arm. Tots may we, little sister, Kaya breathed. I'm here again. Tots may we, Speaking Rain gently touched Kaya's fingers. Is the pine pitch I smell in your hands? Did you get hurt? My hands and arms got burned by falling embers, but I treated the burns with medicine that my namesake taught me to make, Kaya said. You were right to be troubled about fires. Speaking Rain drew in a sharp breath. What happened? Sitting close to her sister's side, Kaya told how she found Steps-High in the rogue stallions herd and about their escape from the fire. When we got back to the hunting camp, everyone thought we were ghosts, covered in black from the smoke. Before we left that country, Tota and some other men routed up the other Nimíipuu horses, Kaya finished. And now you're back safely. Speaking Rain had been listening intently, as though she could feel and hear and even see everything Kaya described. Whistles! Your horses came to you because she recognized your whistle. The mistake people saved your lives with a whistle. Kaya agreed. We left the stake people a big gift of Kinnikinnick. Speaking Rain claps Kaya's shoulder. Tell me about Brown Deer and Cutcheek. Did he hunt well? Cutcheek's a strong hunter, Kaya said excitedly. Our parents agree that he and Brown Deer should marry. Each is going to visit Cutcheek's mother soon to plan the wedding trade. We'll have the marriage feast and gift exchange before the snow gets deep. But come with me now. Don't you want to stroke Steps-High again? I know you love her too, and you have to meet her foal. They're the most wonderful horses ever. When the time came for the wedding ceremony, the frozen ground was covered with lightly fallen snow. Brown Deer and the other women put up a lodge for the celebration that began cooking for the wedding feast. So the air smelled deliciously of roasting meats, couch and kamas cakes, and berry dishes. Kaya's mouth watered as she helped carry the gifts her family had made to the new lodge. Here's the Here's the last of the bundles, granddaughter, Kauta said. She placed a large bag filled with dried roots into Kaya's outstretched arms, put another under her own arm, and picked up a torch. As she walked ahead, she left shallow footprints in the dusting of snow. Kaya's skin prickled with anticipation as she followed her grandmother inside the empty lodge. Now it was cold and silent here, but when everyone gathered today, it would be filled with happy talk and laughter. They'd feast until they couldn't eat anymore. The brown deer's family would give woven bags filled with dried berries, roots, and kamas to the groom's family, food the women had gathered and prepared. Mashing them gift for gift, Kutchik's family would give parfleches filled with dried meat to the bride's people, foods contributed by the men. Countess stacked the woven bags on top of the large pile of gifts already resting on the tulle mats. There, that's everything, she said with satisfaction. Now we're ready. Let me light one of these fires to warm up the place a little. I want to stay here for a while, don't you? We've been so busy lately that we haven't had time to talk. As Countess knelt to light the fire, Kaya gazed at her grandmother's kind face. Her black hair was streaked with gray, and her forehead and cheeks were deeply creased. Firelight glittered in her dark eyes. Have I ever told you about the time I got lost on the mountainside? Truly completely lost? She asked Kaya. Kaya smiled. She loved her grandmother's stories. What was that, Kausa? As you might imagine, it was when I was a little girl, about the age of the twins. Kausa sat back on her heels, and the fire began to crackle and held out her hands to the warmth. I was walking back from picking berries with my mother when she discovered her work bag was missing. She was upset and wanted to go back to look for it, but she didn't want to carry the heavy berry baskets, so she put them down on the trail and told me to sit by them. She made me promise to wait patiently for her and not to move, not even a little bit. She said she wouldn't be long, and she started back up a trail. I sat there for what seemed like a long time. I was hot and thirsty and bored. Mosquitoes bit me, and deer flies buzzed around my head. After a while, I got up and began poking around in the bushes, looking for something to do. I walked a little way into the underbrush, but a little farther, and a little farther yet. All of a sudden, I realized I didn't know where I was. I tried to get back to the trail, but I couldn't find it. I was lost, but I forgot everything I'd been told to do if I got lost. Instead of staying right where I was and waiting to be found, I started to run. I ran downhill, thorns tearing at my dress, twigs scratching my arms and my face. There were no trails there, no sign that anyone had passed that way. I thought I would never see my family again, so I started to cry. Tota, Itza, help me, help me! I called to them until I couldn't run any farther, but I curled up under a bush and stopped until I fell asleep. That's where I was asleep when my older brother found me. He was hunting higher on the mountain when he heard my cries. He knew that sound travels upward, so he rode down, following my sobs. He took me to our camp. I was overjoyed to see my mother again. She put willow bark on all my cuts and insect bites. She washed my face and fed me, but she called Whip Woman to teach me my lesson. Kausa laughed, and Kaya laughed with her. But Kausa put her hand on Kaya's. I told you that story for a reason. What lesson do you think my mother wanted me to learn? Not to disobey her, Kaya answered confidently. That's one lesson, Kausa went on, but there was another one. She wanted me to learn to be patient, to wait, and to trust the wisdom of others. That's a very difficult thing to do, for it takes great strength to wait patiently. She thought for a moment, then went on. Granddaughter, you've already faced many tests of bravery. Your next test will be one of patience and of trusting the wisdom of our elders. Kaya frowned. What do you mean, Kausa? I'm speaking of your vision quest, granddaughter. The vigil you must keep at the sacred place on the mountain, Kausa said. If your spirit is clear and you're prepared, and if you can hold on and not run away, then your Waiakin will come to you there. But before that happens, you'll be hungry and thirsty and exhausted by fasting and praying day and night. Are you afraid? Kaya clasped her elbows, asking herself, am I afraid? She had certainly been afraid when enemies captured her. She had been afraid when she escaped and found her way home. She'd been frightened to think she lost her sister and her horse, and she'd been terrified when she was chased by the forest fire. But what she felt now wasn't fear, it was determination. "I'm not afraid, Katsa," she said in a firm voice. "I'm ready to meet whatever comes." "Why, that's exactly what your namesake would have said," Katsa exclaimed. "You're more like her than you may know. Soon, I believe, you'll use her name. It will be so good for her name to come alive again." Kaya's chest felt warm with gratitude when she thought again of Swan Circling's gift. Kaya wanted so much to take the name of her hero, and now her grandmother felt that the time was almost here. From across the village, criers began calling out, "Visitors are coming! Get ready to greet them!" "Saddle up your horse and go meet Cut Cheek's people," Katsa said, getting to her feet. "I'll light these other fires and make the lodge warm for our feast. Go on now, be quick. We've talked enough." Kaya ran to get the beautiful saddle she received at the giveaway after Swan Circling's burial. Then she hurried to the horses nearby. Tylo bounded along with her, snapping at snowflakes and tossing up fallen snow with his nose. Steps Ty was pawing through the ice for grass with the other horses. When she heard Kaya's whistle, she trotted to her side, snorting white plumes of breath. Kaya thought her horse seemed almost as excited as her frisky dog. Kaya pressed her cheek to Steps High's muzzle and stroked her horse's chest, feeling the strong, loyal heart beating there. In response, Steps High arched her neck and nudged Kaya's shoulder. As Kaya cinched the saddle tightly, sparks flying crowded against his mother, head high and ears forward as though he were eager to welcome visitors too. Kaya swung up into the saddle and settled her feet in the stirrups. "Come on, girl," she said to her horse, and then slapped her leg to signal Tylo to stay at her side. Urging Steps High into a run, Kaya galloped out to meet the visitors on their horses appearing over the horizon.